Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. We're doing another holiday cube. I think the cubes are going to be done in maybe 1 or 2 more days, so I'm going to just try and get at least another one up before they go away. We got Mana Crypt, so I'd probably just take that since it leaves us open, but there are some other really good picks in here. I like Raphelos a lot. I'm a huge fan of counter spells in this format. I think counter spells are actually more powerful here than almost any other limited format I think I've played. Mostly because everybody's playing stuff like Mana Crypt and Mox, Black Lotus. So they power out all this stuff early. So stuff like Counterspell stops the actual relevant spell they're building up towards, which is a good reason to first pick Counterspell. But taking the Mana Crypt makes more sense because it leaves me open and it is free mana. So it allows you to do unfair things. This is a format where you really do have to do unfair things to consistently win. Okay, follow-up pick. Well, I'm a huge Coalition Relic fan. It's a great card. And first turn land Mana Crypt Coalition Relic is pretty ridiculous. What would that be on turn 2? You tap this for the extra mana. That's 2, 4, 5, 6 mana potential on turn 2. Yeah, that is pretty outrageous. I think we just take the Relic. Heartbeat, probably tables, and that's good for Storm, but I don't know enough about a good Storm deck to make a good one. I know Empty the Warrens is a Storm card. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't done that yet. A little bit over my head. Jiraga Tree Speaker is good too, but let's easily take Coalition Relic, stay completely open. Still. Let's be honest. I don't do too much beyond... I like to be blue most of the time in this format, is what I've discovered. Well, Natural Order is a pretty unfair card, especially with all this ramp. So I could pretty easily take Natural Order. Very, very unfair. Especially if I end up with Progenitus, but even like Woodfall Primus, you power out a Primus on turn 2, and that's pretty devastating. Batterskull, of course, a good card, but Natural Order's got the most upside, I think. Most broken capabilities. Let's take it. Alright, huge fan of Harmonize. Mystical Tutor would allow us to find our Natural Order, which is actually pretty good. But that's quite a bit of build-up. Put it on top of my library, have a green creature, and have a big creature that I want to Natural Order out. Yeah, that might be a bit too much. Trinket Mage is pretty insane since it can find Mana Crypt. That is actually really nice. That being said, still a big fan of the Harmonize. So I really think it's between Harmonize and Trinket Mage. I mean, Mystical Tutor can still find other things too. But I probably just want the Harmonize. It's really not much to say about 4 mana, draw 3 cards. That is pretty good. Alright, Fauna Shaman seems really good, even alongside Natural Order, because not only can you sack it to the Natural Order, but if you have the Progenitus in your hand, you can ditch it, put it back in your library, find a different creature. So, kind of like that. Crucible would be good if I had, Strip Mine or Wasteland or something like that. I like Tendrils and Empty the Warrens more than Brain Freeze in this format, only because there's Progenitus and there's all the Eldrazi, which make Brain Freeze unable to defeat your opponent. But I like Fauna Shaman. It's a good card. I'll take it. Alright. Polykranos. Recurring Nightmare. Still a big fan of Recurring Nightmare. Problem with Recurring Nightmare is we don't have anything really good for it yet, but we could still get it. Polykranos is fine. I actually like the card. Powering out a turn 2 Polykranos would also be realistic and good with Mana Crypt. Otherwise, land fixing, Trop Island, all the I guess Trop Island, Woodland Cemetery give us some good options, but I'm not sure. I'm not a huge fan of Fraley's. Kind of want to take this Nightmare, only because it does a lot of cool things. I'm going to take the Nightmare. It's a good, can do some unfair things for sure. All right, Arbor Elf is ramp. Dismember is removal. Wildfires is good if I get a bunch of artifact ramp. I did get destroyed by that in the last draft. Probably just take the Arbor Elf because it ramps. Dismember is good removal. Green typically doesn't get a lot. But I don't know. I think I just want the Arbor Elf. It's not even that great of a ramper, but I'm going to take it. Alright, Animate Dead is cool. If I take that alongside Reoccurring Nightmare, I could make some sort of Reanimator strategy. Reanimator's quite good with Fauna Shaman. Allows you to ditch creatures to find better creatures, or ditch better creatures to find early creatures you need, and then animate them. And Animate Dead's pretty insane because it lets you pull from any graveyard. That's probably the most interesting pick. Abrupt Decay actually seems really good because there's all that artifact ramp, but I think Animate Dead is fine. Let's take the Animate. Shriekmaw's a good card too, but I definitely like the Animate Dead. All right, Pernicious Deed is kind of not that good in our deck because of Mana Crypt and Coalition Relic. I don't want to destroy my good tools, but Raphaelos is pretty filthy, so I think we'll take him pretty happily. He's one of, if not the best ramper in Magic. I mean, geez, you're playing mono green. How much better can you get, honestly? All right, Ulamog is certainly an option, even though I can't find it with Natural Order. Una's Prowler is good for the Animate Dead strategy. I haven't really done Reanimator yet. I already have 2 Reanimate cards and a card that turns it on. You know what? Una's Prowler could be fine. Ulamog is good too, especially with all this ramp. But I'm going to take the Prowler just in the off chance we get some big fat fatties that I want to ditch. All right, I think Caryatid's fine. Lifebane's a fine card too. It's going to be good against us. And Inquisition is fine, but not as good as Thoughtseize or Duress, in my opinion. I guess Nighthawk, but probably not playing it. So we've got a couple things going on. We've got the Natural Order, and we've got Animate Dead, and we have Recurring Nightmare. So we definitely want to do some, I guess Song of the Dryads, it's not that great of a card, but it's more likely I'd sideboard into it or possibly main deck it, but not super likely. Not a big fan of the Negator or Fraley's, but we'll take Fraley's because she can take out artifacts and enchantments if I need her to. So pretty good pack one. We're ready for some sort of reanimation thing. So fatties are going to be good. We're also ready for Natural Order for a big creature if we want. All right, Entomb does in fact work with our Reoccurring Nightmare Animate Dead plan. Nissa Worldwaker, of course, very good. I can power her out pretty fast too, now that I think about it. Which is definitely good. She can take games over. What are the chances Entomb wheels? Well, the chances are really high if no one else. Entomb is so narrowly playable. It only works for Reanimator. There's really, honestly, no other reason to play Entomb. I'm kind of tempted, since I don't even have a good creature to Entomb yet, to just wait and see if it tables. If it doesn't table, we know that someone else is going for Reanimator. Because, like I said, there's really no reason to take Entomb unless you're Reanimator. The problem with Nissa Worldwaker is it doesn't work well with Animate Dead, Recurring Nightmare, or Natural Order. But otherwise, I'm taking a Worn Power Stone, which is a fine card. But I'm in green, so I can get ramp anyway. It seems kind of unnecessary. Whereas Nissa Worldwaker just takes the game over. If you get her out on like turn 2 or 3, it's just game over. Just too much value. All right, Wall of Roots blocks well and ramps. Garrick is some card advantage potential. Upheaval, Of course, very strong, especially with a bunch of ramp. Probably just take the Wall of Roots. Could take the Llanowar Wastes, but I think I'd rather have the Wall of Roots. Alright, Sword is fine. I'm a big fan of Force of Will. Genesis Wave, we don't... Still looking for some good stuff to power out. This is weird. I'm not seeing any fatties. Maybe I should have taken the Ulamog over the... What did I take? Unis Prowler? Yeah, that might have been dumb. But that's okay. I guess we take Elvish Mystic. Sword, Body, and Mind's fine. But let's just get a bunch of ramp. We can lower our land count with all this ramp pretty easily. Alright, Wolfer Silverheart's good enough to take here. There's also him, but I'd like to focus on my green. And Wolfer Silverheart at least is an enormous threat. So I guess we'll take that. It's definitely an enormous threat with all of our rampers that we've got. But I'm definitely looking for a more exciting natural order pickup here. Or Recurring Nightmare. Recurring Nightmare is actually still fine with our mana rampers. Just because... But we are... Oddly enough, this is one of the few times my deck needs fatties. Usually I don't have that problem. Fatties tend to go pretty early. Or, I mean, late. Since there's a bunch of them in this format. Alright, Workshop, not so good for us. Sylvan Library is probably fine. I don't have any shuffle. I do have Fauna Shaman. That's a shuffle effect. Natural Order is too, but not exactly the one I'm looking for. Otherwise, Buried Alive, but whatever. I'm still on the hunt for actual creatures. So Buried Alive doesn't seem necessary. Sylvan Library is actually just good, though. Especially if we can get some shuffle effects. Alright, Deranged Hermit is actually a pretty good reanimate target. Gives you a bunch of dudes. Even if they kill them, you bring them back. All your guys, you have twice as many now. Yawgmoth's Bargain is actually a reasonable card, especially with all the ramp. But let's take the Deranged Hermit, I think. Alright, Sword of Light and Shadow. Smokestack with ramp is probably pretty good. Survival. We already have the Fauna Shaman, but that's another way to put creatures in our yard. Excuse me. Could take the Vengevine. Vengevine Fauna Shaman's always been kind of a nice piece of synergy. We probably have enough creatures to make it work, but you have to cast the creature spells. So animating does not work. He does have haste, however, which is good, but could just take the survival. We're still short on creatures, but if I get some more, it'll be better. Well, I guess we'll take the Vengevine. I mean, we do have Vengevine and Fauna Shaman, like I said. It's pretty good synergy. Alright, here's Gristlebrand. Finally, we're getting the good reanimator target. So, ditching that with Fauna Shaman is good. Can't natural order into it. Taking it over Maelstrom Pulse, but that's fine. Let's take the Gristlebrand. He's good. Undeniably good. As expected, Entomb tabled because no one else is in Reanimate, so that's actually really good for us. We can pretty easily turn one Entomb and then either Animate Dead or Recurring Nightmare if we have Mana Crypt or something. Or I guess we need a creature to make Recurring Nightmare work, but you get what I'm saying. Let's take the Entomb. So, Natural Order, currently not that great. I guess it does get us a Wolfer Silverheart, but... or a Hermit. I mean, it's okay. It's just not as good as I want it to be. I think here it's a pretty easy Llanowar Waste over the Everflowing Chalice. Currently, we actually don't need that much ramp, oddly enough. We are not short on ramp at all. Necropotence lets you draw a bunch of cards. That is good. Genesis Wave for... What would it have to be? 11 to hit a Gristlebrand? That's pretty... It's pretty ambitious. It's probably still okay. I mean, you hit it for 5, you hit it for 8 mana, and it's still pretty good. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of upside to it. Let's take it. I don't think there's a great chance where, well, you know what? I mean, there's enough powerhouse to it where you can play it. It's actually kind of cool with Animate Dead, too, because it works with Animate Dead. Stunted Growth worked well for me against Control last time. I guess we try it again. I'm counting Mana Crypt as a land. I mean, we're going to play it. I'm putting it over here to let you know how many. All right. Buried Alive, we'll take it. On the table, we've got 2 reanimate spells. So it seems pretty probable that we can make that work. All right, there's a Yawgmoth's bargain. I mean, this does do some pretty unfair things sometimes. Lets you draw a ridiculous amount of cards right away. And when you have a bunch of ramp, I imagine drawing a lot of cards is good. It would be nice to have a little bit of life gain. If you have life gain, I mean, Yawgmoth's bargain just gets pretty broken pretty fast. We do have Gristlebrand lifelink, I guess. Mox Diamond is free ramp, so that typically can do unfair things. I think we're looking at Worm Coil because it's just an amazing reanimate target. And actually it goes infinite with Recurring Nightmare, so I think Worm Coil is just a slam dunk in this deck. Blightsteel is cool, but you can't reanimate it because it shuffles your graveyard. Iona is an insane reanimate target, I admit. That's tough. That's actually really tough. I'm trying to think what are the... See, if Entomb tables does Iona table, because let's be honest, is there any way to cast Iona if you're not green ramp or reanimate? I don't know how you cast Iona. So there's a chance that it tables, but there's just absolutely no possible way that Wormcoil Engine tables. No possible way would Wormcoil ever table in any draft. Way too good. Mox Diamond, like I said, sort of free ramp. But I think we got to take the Wormcoil. I've never seen Natural Order look so poopy before. All right. What? Ancestral? Take it and splash it? I can play it off of Caryatid. I can play it off of Coalition Relic. Any other way to play it? That's 2 cards already that let me play Ancestral. I'm pretty tempted. I'm going to splash it. I don't care. 1 mana, draw 3 cards. In a deck with this much ramp, what am I giving up for it? Solemn, which would be good. E-Witness, which would also be good. But not on the same level as 1 mana, draw 3. Have you guys already heard my argument about Ancestral being better than Black Lotus in Limited? I'm standing by that, by the way. All right, I'm going to take it. Let's see how that pans out for us. All right. So we've got Acidic Slime, which is very good. Obliterator, yeah, it's cool. It's, you know, reanimate, whatever. Garruk Apex Predator is fine. I probably just want the Slime. Slime is an amazing catch-all to have in your deck, but in addition to that, being able to either Recurring Nightmare it back or away for something better is pretty insane. I'm at 24 cards, by the way. I think I can probably play 16 lands just because the sheer quantity of ramp we have, which is ample, but maybe not. So Una's Prowler is basically in here to ditch, what? Vengevine, Wormcoil, Gristlebrand. Let's get rid of the bargain for now. I think we've already got better card draw. And I like Garruk. He's ramp as well. I'm going to take the Slime, though. I'm standing by that Slime being good. Grave Titan's one of my favorites. We also have Reanimate. Grave Titan happens to be an amazing guy with both Recurring Nightmare and Animate Dead. And you can Gen Wave it out. Too many good things to pass up Grave Titan here, I think. So odd that natural... I mean, Yes, I could take Reanimate. There's a chance at tables. There's a chance, there's not a great chance either one tables, honestly. But I like me some Grave Titan, I got to tell you. I mean, it's pretty well established. I don't think anybody's in the Reanimate strategy. And I kind of want another fatty, and Grave Titan's just one of my favorite ones alongside Recurring Nightmare. All right, I got to take it. Too good. Eureka, unfortunately, not quite good enough. Even with Grave Titan, Gristlebrand, and Worm Coil, can be a liability. Scalding Tarn doesn't find anything. Dark Confidence, too dangerous. Guess we could take Eureka. Duress is actually kind of good. Seeing what your opponent's doing, making them. This is better than Inquisition, I think. It's at least a good sideboard card. Against like board wipes, stuff like that. I'm going to take the Duress, I think. Could take a shuffle effect in Scalding Tarn for Sylvan Library. That doesn't seem worth it. I'm going to take the Duress for sideboard. Bone Shredder is very good because it allows you to Recurring Nightmare or something away, but I think we actually want the Trastodon since that finally gives us a pretty solid natural order target. And you can do it fairly consistently early. If you do it with Animate Dead or Recurring Nightmare, it's pretty insane as well. So taking it over a couple ramp guys, but I feel like we're doing okay on ramp, right? Yeah, we're doing all right on ramp right now. Let's see. Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth seems fine. Gives us an opportunity to cast Gristlebrand way more easily. I actually like that. Courser's a fine card too. But I think the upside of Urborg in our deck, being able to hard cast Gristlebrand much more easily, makes it the pick here. Port's not bad. Unburial Rites is actually pretty good since we can reanimate stuff like Worm Coil, Grave Titan, Gristlebrand, Terrastodon. But in addition to that, we can actually pay the white with Sylvan Caryatide Coalition Relic and not even have to run a white source in our deck, which is really nice. So I guess we take that over Primal Command, which I also like. I'm a big fan of Primal Command, but I'm going to take the Unburial Rites. Did get Iona back, so we're going to take it and very easily play it. Some decks it just straight up says win the game, so got to take the Iona. All right, E-Witness seems really good since it allows us to bring back Animate. Well, I guess these don't even go to the graveyard, but still seems, I mean, when is Eternal Witness bad? Someone answer me that. When don't you want to bring back things that have died? All right. Could take the Apex Predator. I doubt we play it. We're not going to play Obliterator. Did get the Reanimate back, so that's pretty insane. Yeah, we've got a solid Reanimate deck going, which is nice. The question is, do we still want to do Natural Order? And I think the answer is yes. Eureka, I mean, we have enough things to make Eureka work, but the question is, do I have space for it? What am I playing? What am I not playing? Both ramp spells come back? Jeez. Well, I think I like Sakura Tribe Elder better. Because in a pinch, I can sack it to Recurring Nightmare if I don't need ramp anymore. To get back something bonkers. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? This deck is pretty insane. It's still pretty fair. The only unfair card we really got was Mana Crypt. So yeah, other than Mana Crypt, our deck is still pretty fair, believe it or not. But we got to figure out what we're cutting here. We actually have just tons of playables. Tons and tons of playables. I may not go on the Vengevine plan. There's nothing wrong with Vengevine. It's good. It's just, with all of these reanimate and put stuff in our graveyard, I just want to focus on that. So, like, even Garrick probably doesn't need to be in here. Like, these, look at our solid reanimation targets. And this is still pretty powerful, but she doesn't exactly fit in with the rest of the deck. Yes, I can run Eureka, but bear in mind we didn't get any of the Eldrazi. So maybe it's, I think Eureka is the sideboard plan against the deck that maybe only has like one win condition or a couple, like the control decks. God, we gotta make a lot of cuts, don't we? I guess we probably don't make recall work, since it really only works with the Caryatid. It works with Caryatid, Sakura Trivelder, and Coalition Relic. All right, change my mind. Ancestral staying in. 3 ways to draw 3. Although that also makes me run an island, I guess, because otherwise Sakura Trivelder can't find it. Well, then that's 4 ways to cast it. You know, it might be worth it. Buried Alive is strictly for Reanimate, Recurring Nightmare, and Buried Alive. That's probably worth it, alongside Entomb. Definitely keeping Harmonize. Natural Order, best target is Terastodon. Yeah, that's certainly good enough to keep Natural Order around. Maybe we cut the Wolfer. I don't have a problem with Wolfer, but it doesn't seem necessary anymore. And actually, Natural Order can still find Acidic Slime and Deranged Hermit in a pinch, which is nice. But I guess that's really it. I mean, there's a chance the Natural Order doesn't have a target, but any of those 3 targets is, I feel like, at least good enough. Acidic Slime being the most unexciting of the bunch. Pretty tempted to cut Nissa Worldwaker now and just kind of focus on Reanimation. Definitely want to keep the Prowler, because we've got to be able to ditch one of 5 fatties if we have one of our 3 Reanimate spells. And even Recurring Nightmare works well with Prowler. You ditch the card, you play the Nightmare, you sack the Prowler, you get the guy back. It's pretty good. Card draw is looking good. Ways to cast Unburial Rites seems fine. We don't have to run a white source still. Just between Caryatid and Coalition Relic, I'm satisfied with flashing back Unburial Rites. Alright. What else do we cut? Maybe the Sylvan Library is not good enough. We don't have any shuffle effects. It's still a good card, no doubt. But we already have Recall and Harmonize, so I feel like we have all the card advantage we need. And at this point, I'm just trying to make cuts. I don't think we're doing Gen Wave. As cool as Genesis Wave is, powering out your fatties, I actually don't think it's super realistic in this deck. Our ramp element is like Mana Crypt, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We only have 7 ramp. Well, I guess Coalition Relic too, so like 8. Yeah, I mean, Genesis Wave's fine in this deck. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I'd rather focus, like I keep saying, on the. We really just want to maximize our Reanimate or Natural Order for Terastodon plays, because both of those plays are really good and sick. Buried Alive, surprisingly underwhelming. I mean, it's really cool because we have 3 reanimation targets, but I could see a lot of times where Buried Alive is pretty boring. But I probably still have to play it. I think I'm going to have to get away with 16 lands in this deck. But that's pretty greedy, especially if I'm trying to make Ancestral work. I don't know. Man, that's tough. Maybe we cut E-Witness, as odd as that sounds. There's just not a lot of things I want to bring back from my graveyard. Harmonize, Ancestral, Natural Order. Pretty much it. Reanimate, I guess. Not Entomb, not Buried Alive. Seems pretty strange to cut an Eternal Witness when you have Ancestral Recall in your deck. But what else am I cutting? I mean, otherwise I'm cutting one of my, maybe Acidic Slime or Deranged Hermit, but that doesn't seem right. I'm certainly not cutting Grave Titan, Wormcoil, Gristlebrand, Terastodon, Iona. These 5 has to stay in. They're just too good. Just far too good. All right, I'm running low on time. I really got to focus here. Decide what's getting cut. All right, I think I'm cutting Eternal Witness. I love the card. I just think we don't have space for it, to be perfectly frank. Still like the Prowler because it allows me to do this broken stuff. I think we're going to try and get away with 16 lands. I know it seems greedy, but I don't know how I make 2 more cuts. I could cut Hermit or Slime, and I'm leaning towards the Hermit. As much as I love Hermit, especially with Recurring Nightmare, I just don't have space for it. I don't know what to say. I don't have space for it. All right, do I try and get away with 16 lands? I easily could. One of them has to be a Mana Crypt and an island, though, which leaves me only 14 sources, which isn't a lot. And we need quite a bit of black to be able to reliably cast Reanimate, Animate, and Unburial Rites. I don't know, man. Do I want 17 lands? I kind of do. And I want a lot of them to be forests. But I cannot fathom what I'm cutting here. Everything looks so good. Buried Alive honestly looks like the weakest. I think I'm cutting Buried Alive. I know, blasphemy because I have reanimation spells, but I've got Fauna Shaman, I've got Unis Prowler, I've got Entomb. I have 3 ways to get it in my yard. Buried Alive is like the least exciting of that bunch, so I'm not going to run it. Call me crazy, I don't care. I know I'm crazy. So mostly green, we want the green for the... Let's put Mana Crypt in, Urborg, Llanowar Wastes. We add no white. That's funny that they said 1 white since I'm running Iona, like that was going to work. 1 blue for Sakura Tribe Elder. Yes, I'm going deep on that Ancestral Recall, I know. Foolish? Possibly, we'll find out. So I've already got, let's see, this would be 5 sources of black plus a bunch of others. So this would be 10 sources of green, only 9 forests. That's not many. 12, 13, 14, 15. I can add 1 more. I guess we add 1 more forest. So this is 10 forests, 5 sources of black for all of this, but one of them turns all of my stuff into black. Yeah, it probably works. And it's more than 5 sources of black. Remember that this is 6 sources, 7 sources black, 8 sources of black. Yeah, 8 sources is enough. All right. How good is this deck? I don't know. It seems fun. It definitely seems like a fun deck. But how good is it? I don't know. I really can't answer that. I don't know. We'll find out. It's the first time I've gotten to play Reanimator, so guess we shall see you round 1.